Hey guys, it's Amanda here. As you can tell, it's a little darker than usual because it's kind of late at night, but I decided I wanted to make this video now because I want to talk about Sense and Sensibility, which I just finished watching, or I didn't just finish watching it, I just finished reading. I think it was my probably 7th time reading it because I have read it for every Jane Austen summer for the past 5 years. This would be my 6th time reading it for Jane Austen summer, and I'd read it I think at least once before that. So, as you'll recall in my first video, I happened to mention that I thought it was my least favorite Austen, but I think that every time I say that about a book, I end up liking it better on the reread, because for years and years Mansfield Park was my least favorite, and now I am kind of obsessed with it. Sense and Sensibility I think is really funny, and I think it can be easy to miss how funny it is because, like, you have Pride and Prejudice where Elizabeth's kind of snarky at everyone, and you've got Emma where Emma Woodhouse is like having hijinks all over the place. You've got Northanger Abbey where Jane Austen is making fun of all of the literature of her time the entire book, and you kind of miss that books like Sense and Sensibility are really funny. I think more than any of the others, there's a whole cast of people who they're just like such a mess. Like like Mrs. Jennings and Mr. Palmer and Mrs. Palmer, Lady Middleton and Sir John, even Lucy Steele. That girl's got some manipulation skills, I just have to tell you that. Oh, and Miss Steele is the funniest one of them all. The line about how she would have been their friend if they had ever laughed at her about the doctor, that's one of my favorite lines ever. It makes me laugh every single time. It's just like, it's a really funny book with a really interesting cast of characters. Definitely this time around, I really felt more of an emphasis on Eleanor, and I really felt that it was sort of her book, kind of, and she was the one leading the way. Maybe that's why I liked it more this time around, because I like Eleanor a lot more than Marianne. Like, I wish I could be Eleanor, really, is what I wish, because she just has her shit together, you know what I'm saying? And you know what, I think I may have a little bit of a new appreciation for Marianne too, because I think that she kind of, you know, she's just so young, and like, I think it's easy to forget that these characters are that young when we're reading these books, because we have so much longer of an adolescence than they did, and they were considered adults at so much younger of an age. But when she's 17, like, that is still, she's a baby. She doesn't know anything. I was that much of a mess when I was 17. I didn't know how to do things like engage in matters of the heart. Probably why it's a good thing I didn't date in high school. Yeah, but she's such a sweetheart, and she really just cares about people, and it goes about it in such a misguided way, and I love her for it. I think some of the things that I noticed, and here you might want to turn off this video and come back to it in a few days if you aren't finished reading the book and haven't read it before. I think I always used to be really upset by the fact that I felt like Willoughby was being defended whenever he came to speak to Eleanor towards the end, because it seemed so utterly unreasonable to me that he would manage to be such a dick and then kind of get this kind of defense, you know, from these people who he's really hurt. And I felt like that it was not appropriate for him to be defended, that he had treated these women badly and that he should reap the consequences, and Eleanor should never have forgiven him. But there were a lot of things I noticed this time around, and the main thing that I noticed was Eleanor sort of reflecting to herself that it wasn't necessarily appropriate to forgive him. She's engaged in a pretty severe battle with herself, and I think that she's aware that a large part of the reason that she is forgiving him as much as she is because he's so charming. I think it's true, and it definitely has happened to me a whole bunch of times where I've been really, really mad at someone for something, whether it was something they did to me or someone else, and then they came and apologized and explained, and it didn't really change what they actually did, but just hearing them apologize made me feel so much better about it. Like, seeing their face and like hearing the emotion in their voice and all that kind of thing. I think it was well noticed of Jane Austen to have had that be what was going on with Eleanor. Jane Austen sort of doesn't really stop at, and the couple got together and they were happy, the end. What she ends up doing, especially with Eleanor and Edward in this book, is she like shows the conversations that they have after that, instead of showing the ones where they tell each other that they love each other, which I think is so cool, because That is my favorite part about a new relationship. I don't know about you guys, but I love having the conversation where I'm like, I've been into you for this long. When were you first into me? And when I did this, this is what I was thinking. What were you thinking when that happened? Even when my significant others haven't been as much of a fan of those kind of conversations, I've kind of forced them into it. I kind of feel bad, but not really. So sorry, guys. You know, I always have trouble deciding whether I'm more of an Eleanor or a Marianne, because I think that at heart I'm kind of a Marianne, but I like persuade myself that I am an Eleanor because I like to try and keep my feelings reasonable. I really identify with the part where she's talking about how, or where, you know, Austen is talking about how Marianne could never love by halves, and so she was able to become as sincerely attached to Colonel Brandon as she was to Willoughby ever. I really would love to hear from any and all of you about what your thoughts about the book are or were. I just really want to talk about it now, so I hope that I do hear from you guys. I love you all, and I can't wait to talk to you some more on Thursday, which is when I'll be posting my next video. And that one is going to be me talking about a personal story in my life that relates to Sense and Sensibility. And I've been thinking about this one for a while now, and I think I know what I'm going to talk about, and you'll get to hear things about me. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to watch that? So I hope you do watch it.